where JPMorgan CEO Jamie Dimon once told Elizabeth Warren to hit him with a fine because the bank could afford it. Well, hello there, my friends. Chris Marcus here with you for Arcadia Economics from La Estacion in Chapala, Mexico, aka the silver capital of the world. And what better place to be in the midst of a global hyperinflation campaign, which perhaps that part isn't ideal. And my heart really does go out to the people that are going to be affected by that, although at least doing what I can. That's why I've turned to silver. That's why I left Wall Street to speak about silver, because just the fact that the US and foreign governments are printing money around the globe doesn't mean you have to be clobbered by that. Although one of the people that maybe is going to get clobbered at some point is Jamie Dimon, CEO of JPMorgan, because in today's interesting quote of the day, this actually was years ago, but I came across this story recently where JPMorgan CEO Jamie Dimon once told Elizabeth Warren to hit him with a fine because the bank could afford it. I'm not sure if he wanted that out in public, although ironically enough, this came from Elizabeth Warren's book, A Fighting Chance. Now, I have not read that. I'm sure it's riveting content. But basically, she said, I think you guys are breaking the law. Suddenly, Dimon got quiet. He leaned back and slowly smiled. So hit me with a fine. We can afford it. And since that's how he feels, I mean, it's his right to have his own opinion, but I'm going to do my part to help oblige him with that, because certainly they have been breaking the law. We're past the point of wondering and collected the evidence, which we will get to shortly. Won't do a whole review, but it seems like Senator Warren is not happy. Here was Elizabeth Warren on JPMorgan CEO Jamie Dimon after the recent testimony in front of both the Senate and then the House. And I'll play a quick quote from Liz here. I think this one is a bit interesting because, well, let's take it away and then we'll comment after that.
And at least when we look at this one, the answer is the banks are willing to say, whoa, give me all the benefits. I want all that extra help during the pandemic. But what did they use it for? Did they use it to help their customers? No. They just used it in order to plump up their profits. And look, these banks, ultimately, they have a monopoly.
And as you can hear here, that even Senator Warren was saying the banks have a monopoly, which perhaps I wasn't expecting on June 21st to be agreeing with someone in Congress, but that certainly is the case. And if she's that upset, this was video about the overdraft fees that the banks charge, which doesn't seem like the biggest deal. But if she's that upset about overdraft charges, I can't imagine what she would say if she knew some of the things, for example, that you have a CFTC policy that, in the words of acting chairman Rostin Benham,
the resiliency and the market structure of the futures market really were able to tamp down what could have been a much worse situation in the silver market.
So he's talking about a futures market structure that tamped down a much worse situation in the silver market. We've covered that plenty. I mean, it's bizarre that a CFTC acting chairman talk about price fixing in that overt manner. Yet what was left unsaid here that I'm sure Senator Warren would be appalled by is that even last year, after JPMorgan was fined $920 million, CFTC, these same commissioners, found them committing hundreds of thousands of infractions of the law. Here we have February 23rd, just weeks after Silver Tuesday, where the price of silver fell 10% on the greatest day of silver demand in history. We find out that this market structure that Rostin Benham talked about that can act to price fix or tamp down the market, ironically, gets voted on by who?
Marnie Rosenberg, JPMorgan. Aye. Marnie Rosenberg votes aye.
So we have a market structure that's being voted on by the criminals. And when you question the CFTC about it, they have nothing to say, which I'm sure Senator Warren would be appalled by that. So in the description field below is a link to her own website, and you can go hit the contact page. Send me updates. Well, I'm going to be sending a file, which I will make available really trying to not trying, we are coordinating, not like banks coordinating price fixing, but coordinating all the people that see this, want to stop to it, want to restore integrity to our financial markets, which certainly I think they deserve. So along those lines, also in the description field right there below is the link to this page where there's plenty of evidence. Here's the letter I wrote to Representative Maxine Waters. Here's some addresses to contact there. Here's a sample email you can copy and paste. You can, if you wanted to send something to Liz Warren, just change the name here. The files are all available for you to download. And by all means, you know, maybe you have a elected official or oversight committee that you prefer over Senator Warren. You can feel free to send it to anyone. Now, I know I've gotten a comment from a lot of people. All right, are they going to actually do anything? Is this going to actually matter? I don't know the answer to that. I understand that there's probably a lot of these people that are getting campaign contributions from these same banks, and maybe it's all theater what we see on screen yet. Especially in this type of environment, you never know when someone's ready to turn on someone else, or what other political shenanigans are going on beneath the surface. And plus, at the very least, when someone has confirmed that they've received the information and are aware of it, and then choose to suppress it like Commissioner Benham of the CFTC, a lawyer I am not, but I would think that would fall into the obstruction of justice department. So I'm of the school of thought of take action. I mean, and you know, if you throw 1,000 darts at the board, maybe a couple of them hit. And I think there's a lot to be said just for doing what you can, and for each person that's going to be different. Maybe it's just sharing this video or some other method, but I will also be releasing another video shortly that goes through some of the class action lawsuits that have already begun, and that there are options people can participate in. So the idea that we just have to stand there and take it and there's nothing that can be done in a legal, moral, or ethical fashion, I do not agree with. So anyway, wanted to pass this along just so you know that Jamie Dimon does treat these fines as a cost of doing business. So why don't we help him fulfill his fantasy of getting a massive fine and really directing some of that money back to the people who have been stolen from. And hopefully that is helpful. Again, all these links in the description field below. Before we wrap up, I would like to mention that this video was sponsored by John Lee over at Silver Elephant, one of the companies that has figured out how to navigate through the fraudulent pricing conditions. But here you see Silver Elephant starting a 2,000-meter drilling program at the Pulicayo Silver Project in Bolivia. And I'm planning to check in with John later this week. We will have him back on the show, and he'll be able to walk through some of the plans that they have. John's been on the show a couple of times, and as you can see here, new 2,000-meter drilling program started. So thank you to John for bringing us this video. Appreciate the things that they're going out and doing, and also allowing me to make these videos, at least giving people some options where if you're tired of feeling that the banks get away with everything, well, I say we start changing that. So check all the information in the description field below, and I will see you back again soon.